Artisan podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Midwest Artisan. I'm your host, Andy Hinkle.
And I'm your co-host, Dalton McCleary.
Dalton, how's it going?
I'm going great, man. How are you?
Doing good, man. It's been a crazy past month, as you know,
Oh, yeah.
So went to, I did a talk at Laravel Worldwide, and we'll get into that. That was a lot of fun. And I went to California for a week. So, it's been really busy. So we got to spend both really deep on the professional side into work, and then spending, some good family time. So yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun.
Nice week off. Well, let me hear about that week off first.
Yeah,
let's get into the niceties before we get into the stressful event of your life.
Yeah, have you gone anywhere this summer? You enjoyed anything?
I did enjoy some of the nice Indiana weather that we had, a couple weeks ago. It was like 65 or whatever. Got to actually walk outside. I got a sunburn. I got a new tattoo, and I got sunburn on my new tattoo, which they say you're not supposed to do. Mm-hmm. But nothing.
Yeah. What'd you get for a tattoo?
I got a tattoo of an orca.
Oh, that's sick.
And he's got his skeleton out.
So right for the listeners, it's right on his arm, and it looks pretty sick. You'll just have to see it. Yeah, just tune in.
You're gonna have to go to the YouTube and look at it. So I got that for myself for my birthday. That's
nice. Yeah,
that's what I consider a fun time, is getting stabbed with needles for 4 hours. Looks
4
cool.
hours?
Yeah, 4 hours.
Oh,
it's wild.
Jeez, man.
What about you? Did you get that nice California sun?
I did. Yeah. So we went to California. We've been to Disney World. This is in Florida. Disney World in Orlando many times. I would say probably 20 times at least. We've never been to California, never been to Disneyland. So we decided this year, let's go check out Disneyland. We've always heard a lot about it. Let's go see it. So went to Anaheim. And everyone there was so friendly. So in Florida, so Disney World is kind of like the place everyone goes to from all over the world of that's where you go for Disney, right? Disney World.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it's very people process, they just try to move you quickly as fast as possible. Disneyland, it's so much more relaxed. It's so nice. People are so friendly. The security people, you're going through bag checks and stuff like that, they would have conversations with you. They they interacted with our son. I mean, they're just so nice. Versus Disney World, it's come on, keep moving, folks. So it was a great time. We went down so we stayed in Anaheim, went down to Huntington Beach, and that was a lot of fun too. We were talking before the show if I saw anything interesting, often with California, and in Huntington Beach, it was really nice, but we're at the playground on the beach, and I look over, and probably just off in the distance, I see this guy sitting on a bench with the biggest bong I've ever seen. And that's what that's called. I don't know what this this massive bong.
Yeah.
And over there just having a good old time. He just all stretched, laid out back. I'm like, man, that is California right there. So it was good. So yeah, we had a really good time. But before that, did a talk at Laravel Worldwide. So Laravel Worldwide meetup at meetup.laravel.com. If you want to go back and watch that. But I did it. I mentioned this last show. What the talk title would be. The talk title was "Keeping Laravel Elegant When Business Gets Messy." And
great name, by the way.
Yeah,
great name.
It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of great feedback. I think I did talk about it. But, my first Laracon, it was 5 Laracons ago, which is back in 2017, 2018 somewhere. I knew some people on Twitter, but in real life, when you would see them, you never interact with them. You might interact on Twitter or something, but it was so weird just to go up and say, go up to them and say hi. It was kind of you seize up, what do I even say? I've never even talked to them one-on-one. Well, what do I do with it's kind of like that. What do I do with my hands kind of thing, right? So just the classic introverted thing. So, but what blew me away is the community. It's not weird like that. You just go up to anyone at Laracon, and you guys most likely share something similar. We're all writing Laravel code, so if you don't have anything, you have that. And since then, Nashville happened. We went together to Laracon Nashville. Aaron Francis gave that talk, publishing a work.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it was just good timing. Me and you started the podcast from that.
That's right.
And then since then, it's honestly just a good way to catch up and just with each other, because life gets away from us. So even since starting the podcast, I've always had imposter syndrome. It's kind of a big thing with most devs. And every time I thought about speaking, I've been at Laracon, I would see something that I might be passionate about, or might, maybe one day I might give a talk on that. And it's like, nah, someone else is smarter. Someone else should be up there, not me. And I believe that for years, just don't do it. Why me? Someone else is better qualified for this. Someone else will give the tone of message better, right? And then post Laracon, as I mentioned last show, I got that message. This was like the day before the last show. I got the message saying, "Hey, we'd love for you to talk, but just a heads up, it's in 2 weeks. We understand if you can't get it there in time." And so I was like, I just have this ridiculous thing where I just push myself, just doing things that scare me, And so within reason, right? But I was like, do it. It was a 2-week sprint of very stressful, where I would have my day job. And then I would be dad in the evening from I get through my day job, then be dad. And then from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m., I was doing the talk every night for 2 weeks.
Bro. Slides,
research, and, it's clean code. So trying to condense that into something coherent, it's just every day I woke up with this mental clock, it just in the corner, it just felt like just in the corner of my peripherals or something. I just had this mental clock. It was just ticking louder and louder. And so I was until the countdown. Yeah. So it was a wild 2 weeks, but just preparing the talk. And then I think the most stressful part was the day before. I had my parents, so the talk was on a Tuesday. I had my parents come into town. They're about 10 hours away. So they came in to visit us and, for the weekend. So I was very purposeful of getting it to a point where I didn't have to do anything that weekend and I could spend that time with family. Right. So I got there. And then, Monday morning, I got up early. I was ready to practice the talk. And, I sit down and practice, and I'm 3 slides in, and the animations are off. The slide there's the text. Some of the text is cut off the screen. It's completely out of order. The whole thing is scrambled, and I felt my stomach flip. I felt like I was actually going to throw up. It was stressful, and I was like, I have to work my job today. I'm gonna be up till all hours of the night, and I'm not gonna be able to sleep, and then I'm gonna have to wake up and do the talk tomorrow. So I was just pacing around, just it was not great, but I just took a deep breath and end up just pushing through those final updates, and then having you join on, so thank you so much for this, but you were so kind and said that you would love to listen for a practice run. Mm-hmm. And that changed everything, dude. That just that gave me just more confidence in it. Yep. And then you and Jake Bennett, and also Landon from Wilbur, Boss Jake. Yeah, Landon from Wilbur also sat on a different time and kind of listened to a talk and gave great feedback. But that feedback, if you guys are, anyone out there is speaking for a conference or something, or just any technical talk, just practice, give it to somebody that. Yep. That's on a technical level. That feedback is so helpful. Just smooth those rough edges and just be able to identify stuff like that. And because a part of it is that imposter syndrome kept setting in. I'm like, is this an obvious thing people know, or is this useful, or is it will go over people's head? Am I not delivering it right? Yeah, it was good. That feedback was great, and then it was showtime the next day. So over 2 weeks, 130 slides, made it through. It was wild. But
you did great though. You killed it. We were hyping you up real good in the chat. I don't know if you could see the chat, but we were hyping you up real good. I
couldn't see the chat, but then someone else reached out to me, and then I went back to the video, and it had that chat replay, and that was so kind seeing the comment. Good. Yeah. My favorite comment was somebody saying that this pairs really well with John Drexler's talk. at Laracon, and saying, because he did a project management talk, and I kind of gave the managing your code talk, and kind of pairing those together, and that was the most like heartwarming comment that I heard, because I really never thought of it like that, and so that was a really nice comment somebody gave.
Yeah, you had quite a lot of viewers. I don't know if you had the stream pulled up while you were doing it. I assumed you did, but there was several times I think you peaked at like over 100 people were watching. Like it ebbed and flowed obviously as you were going, but like you were over 100 people at one point. I was like, damn, Andy, all right.
That would stress me out seeing that. But honestly, I'm just happy for one, So I'm just happy for anyone. And the only reason I was never expecting anything out of it. It was just a talk that I wish me from 5 years ago, or a junior me, would have heard, of questioning everything, So, and last thing I wanted to is, if you're listening to this, or maybe Dalton, you too, man.
I'm listening.
Yeah, if you want to give a talk, if you have something that just like out there that you think like, I'm really passionate about this. And so what I realized is that you don't have to be an all-knowing or subject about it, you don't have to be a expert. You just have to be passionate about it and just show and deliver what you learned. Mm-hmm. And the community will meet you halfway there. If you're willing to be passionate about it, willing to share it. So yeah, suggest to anyone, wanting to submit a talk, that you do. It's a little nerve-wracking, but you should. So if you think of something that you're like, I'm pretty passionate about it, or you feel opinionated a certain way, or you see a pattern in the Laravel ecosystem that you think is the wrong way, make it some controversial picks. So yeah. So you should do it, man. And anyone out there, you should also do it. So
concur. Great advice from a Laravel superstar like Andy Hinkle.
No.
Just kidding.
Well, then a few days later, I got that the Laravel blog. They came up with Artisan of the Day, and they came up with that content all on their own, which is like amazing.
I was going to ask you if they interviewed you for that.
Well, they had me. Well, I submitted that. I submitted that information on what's it called? It's like your story. I submitted that, but there was so much in my story I didn't tell, and that they went and whoever wrote that blog post did a really great job. They went and started digging and they found our podcast. They found kind of I think because in the talk I talk about like Holiday World when I worked there, they brought that up, and so they did an amazing job with that blog post. So, but yeah, we got a little shout out. You got a shout out in the blog post too. And so that was very nice. So Artisan of the Day. Yeah, that was really neat.
Yeah, so, kudos, man. Here, this is for you.
Well, I just want to say thanks to everyone for, all the support and all the great feedback on it. It was just every step of the way where I got that imposter syndrome, somebody was able to bring me home a little bit, of like, Dan from Vehicle was also really helpful, because that was also like when I got on, I was talking about just some brief slides, and it's like, is this stuff that people should know? And he said, no, that people talk about this in the chat all the time. They're going to love this. And so I was very happy to hear that, and it gave me confidence going into the talk. So, all right. Yeah, enough of me, but it was a good time. Loved it. It was, I don't know if I'll ever do a talk again. We'll see. That was so stressful. I have so much more respect for people that do these talks.
Interesting.
Since the talk, I've been a little bit more opinionated on some code, and I'm finding that if Laravel doesn't give us a convention of like to do something, if we're doing it the right way, just be cautious of like dumping things in custom action classes, like having like an app service class and just dropping things that you share in there. Like maybe there's a reason that Laravel doesn't give things to us out of the box. I almost said in my talk too, if Laravel doesn't give you an Artisan command to do something, and you're right clicking creating custom classes, you maybe want to question that code, right? And so it's kind of controversial. I was like, because I really believe it. Because every time I bumped into that, there's been a little bit of friction. And so where either I have somebody, when they come in and review the code, they're like, what's this? Or they have a lot of initial confusion around it, versus like things just in the Laravel way. It's just like, it's obviously written in a Laravel way of like you have a pipeline and it flows or something like that. So, so yeah, I'm starting to like think more in that way of like just kind of sticking with the Laravel way. So, yeah, but
No, I mean,
it's good.
I get that. I think we do that a lot with tests, right? Like you don't want to test the framework. The framework's already
Oh, yeah.
tested. It's you don't want to be testing stuff for that. And I think it's the same way what you're saying with code is that why would you write stuff that Laravel has either already written or they have a convention for that is tested, right? Because you're not testing the Laravel application or the Laravel framework. It's already tested by everybody else. So why write the code when you don't have to?
Yeah, and for me, it's about just where code is. It's like sometimes it's shared, and I'm really curious how Laravel does this about when you have like a GitHub service and you are calling it in the same, like you're calling the same thing but in different parts of your application. You maybe you have an action in your controller, then you have another action in your queue, but it's calling the same thing. It's like, where does that live? And a lot of it is like I mentioned, like it might be an app slash like in a folder called actions or in a service class, inside there. So everyone does it differently. And so I've been curious about how people like to handle that, like the shared stuff. Right. So how do you guys handle it? Do you have service classes or you rewrite it twice?
That's funny that you bring that up. I don't want to segue to the next topic just yet, but I want to give you a little tease. I've been using Claude a lot more recently. And nice. My Claude, I don't know if it's my Claude or whatever, but they love service classes, and I hate them. I'm not a fan of service classes at all. And my Claude just loves to stuff everything possible into a service class.
So you're talking about an app slash services and then some random custom PHP file?
Just like just a bunch of junk in here. There'd be like a method. I was like, why does that need to be here? That could be an accessor on a model, or that could be a trait that I could use across these two models. That's the only use cases for it. So yeah, I typically don't reach for service classes in general. I'm a big trait guy. I like to use traits.
Where do you store that trait?
Depends. If it's model specific traits, I'll put it in the model directory under a subfolder called like concerns or traits or something like that. I'll put it there. I try not to have traits that cross out of those folders. You know what I mean? So I'll only have traits specific for models in the model directory. I'll have traits specific for, filament in the filament directory, usually under the subdirectory concerns. So I use traits. I'd probably reach for that 90% of the time over a service class.
Yeah, and I do as well. And but I think what I was trying to figure out is like how when they leave that directory, when they touch like a controller in a job, it's like where does it go? So I was trying to figure that one out. Yeah, right. It just like you mentioned, it just depends, right? It really depends on where you want to put it. So. Yeah, because sometimes it might be like a gateway for a third-party connection or something, but not in that case, it might be okay in services, because it's technically a service, right?
Yeah, at that point, yes. If it's like a third-party thing, and then I'll put it in like a service class, or I'll put it in like app support, and it would just be a class that lives under a directory there. Like I think I've got one for AWS, or not AWS Slack. I've got like a Slack subdirectory in my services that I help. It just sort of like help build webhooks, and then I can reuse that in a trait or a different class. That's probably the only time I'll reach for those. Yeah, but I'm a big trait boy. I love traits. Once I figured out that traits were a thing in PHP, I was like, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah,
and I just never quit. Never quit using.
Yep, same here. Yep. You mentioned Claude Code. You've been using it a lot more. And so, which I think I nudged you. I was like, dude, you got to try it, because you mentioned, I think you're using Junie, I think at the time or something. Just spend the $20, try it out. You're going to love it. And then I got a message from you saying that you've been on the Claude train or on the Claude Code train and enjoying it. So I'm curious to hear about it.
Yeah. You had mentioned that I should try it. I was using Copilot for a long time, and then I use PHP Storm. So PHP Storm announced Junie. It's like a couple months ago. And so I was trying to use Junie to sort of plan architectural changes. Like I would use Junie to say, hey, I want to write some tests for this feature or whatever, go back and forth, and then it would start writing my tests. And then my boss Jeff, was like, hey, I think we're going to get Claude for the development team. I want to, we had a meeting, him and I, where he like walked me through some stuff, like how to set up Claude Code, what he was using it for, and he was like, I like this a lot better than Junie. I was like, yeah, that's kind of what Andy said. So he bought Claude Code for our development team, and since then I've been using it like every day, just for anything really. Like at first I was using it only to write tests. Like I would write all the logic. I'd be like, hey, can you write me some tests for this? And it would, spit out a bunch of tests. I was like, okay, cool, this is awesome. Yeah, I don't have to write tests ever again. Like I still read through all the tests, and it usually likes to write exaggerated tests. Like it just tests everything. I was like, calm down, right? I only need like 4 or 5 test classes. I don't need you to boil the ocean here. But since then, we've started getting into a more development pattern across, the team here where I work. And I've been using Conductor. There's an app called Conductor that lets you set up workspaces in your repository. And what you can do is each one of these workspaces is a different Git work tree. Right, so it's like a completely different branch, or it's not considered a branch. I can't remember the exact terminology, but it's a Git work tree, and they call it workspaces in Conductor. So every time you create a new workspace, it creates a new work tree and a new version of Claude Code that you can run. So you can have many different workspaces all running at the same time with their own Claude Code with its own context. So you could be running it basically at the same time. I think it's very similar to what you were telling me about. You were using Tmux, right?
Yeah, for multiples.
Very similar to that. Okay. It's just like a really nice GUI for like multiple instances of Claude Code running it in its own workspace. It has its own file diff. I really, really like that app. I can't stress that enough. You could you make changes and have Claude do changes, and it has like a Git history. You could see what it's changed and what hasn't changed. You could click on a file, and it's a lot like a GitHub pull request. You can go to a specific line in that file and leave a comment. And so you could essentially do a PR review in Conductor, and at the end it has all of your changes or whatever, and you just hit enter, and it sends all of those comments to Claude, and Claude's like, all right, cool, I'll fix these in that specific file. It's literally just like a GitHub pull request, essentially, is what it is. Neat.
I'll have to check that out.
I'll have Claude running. I'll come in, I'll essentially do a PR review of what Claude did for me. I'll make comments in the files like, hey, change this. Hey, I don't think we need this. This file's unnecessary, whatever. And it combines all my stuff into one big prompt, and I can just hit enter, and Claude will essentially perform my review for me. And it says, hey, done, what's next? And I'll just keep doing that until I'm satisfied with what it's written for me.
That's really nice, dude.
At that point, they got a little button that says create PR. It creates a PR on GitHub for me. I don't have to do jack.
Is that this conductor.build? Is that right?
Yes, that's it. Conductor.build.
Okay. Yeah.
They've been cranking out some really good features recently, like that comments when I was telling you that's new. That's been a game changer for me for learning Claude and learning like AI development tools. Because I was a newbie for Claude, like what were we talking, like 2 months ago? Two podcasts ago, we were talking about
it's like you gotta
Claude,
try.
and I didn't even know what an MCP server was, and like today, I just launched one like from scratch.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah.
Like what is this development world when stuff changes this fast in 2 months?
You're on the cuff of tech because Laravel today launched Laravel MCP.
I know, man.
Apps.
Dang it.
So you're probably kicking yourself.
Yeah. This is what I'm going to do. This is going to be my workflow. As soon as this podcast is over, I'm going to open a new workspace in Conductor for my app that I already have the MCP server running. I'm going to tell it to research the Laravel docs and create a plan for migrating from the current implementation to that implementation.
There you go. That's nice. Do you use the planning mode?
Yes, I use that a lot.
Okay, really?
A lot.
Usually I just give it so much context. I nearly write a book, and then it's like creates a
Oh,
to do
really?
list, and then I do the walk away. Like, okay, I'm gonna go either I'm gonna go do something, go on lunch or whatever while this is going, or I'm going to work on something else, right? Or
Yeah.
just do random what code review for somebody else or whatever, and just come back to it. But yeah, I kind of rarely use the planning mode, so kind of sell that for me of
Oh,
like why I should.
okay. Okay. Well, here's what I use planning mode for a lot. Um, like I said, I use conductor almost exclusively for Claude Code, so I don't use like the terminal for it. I very rarely I will use the terminal in PHP Storm, but in conductor, like one of the things I use for planning mode, we have Night Watch running on one of our apps, and there was an exception that was thrown,
Hmm.
and it was like ID column ambiguous for order at whatever it is, right? And it spit out a little code chunk. In Conductor, I spin up a new workspace. Well, somebody created that Jira ticket for me. It's like, hey, this exception's being thrown, whatever. Created a new workspace with that Jira ticket number. I literally took a screenshot of the Night Watch exception, pasted it into Conductor with my Claude code, and said, hey, I'm getting this error, whatever. I hit planning mode. In Conductor, you can actually adjust the thinking level. Like there's a toggle to go to
Ultra
think,
think, yeah,
ultra
yeah,
think,
yeah.
whatever. I toggle that thing all the way up to ultra think. Like, hey, I'm getting this error. Can you devise a plan on where this is, why it's happening, and how to fix it? Right. That's literally what I typed, and I put it in planning mode. I hit enter, and then I did like other work. Right. Like it's churning in the background.
Hmm.
It came back and it's like, here's what I think it is. Here's where I think it is, and here's why I think it's happening. And then I will literally just have like a conversation with Claude of, okay, I agree that it is definitely here. It's pretty obvious that it's here. It's the exception. Um, I don't want to modify this query too much, but I definitely want to fix
Hmm.
this error without jacking stuff, right? So let's run the tests first, and then let's do whatever your first recommended thing is, and then let's run the tests again, right?
Hmm.
Create a plan
Hmm.
to do that. And I'm still in planning mode while I'm talking to it to do that. It's like, okay, I'm going to run the tests first. Here's what I'm going to change. And then I'm going to run the tests again. I said, okay, cool. Then I'll exit planning mode, and then I'll just say proceed or do that.
Hmm.
And then it will just do that. That's what I use planning mode a lot for.
Yeah, that's really neat.
I want to
Usually,
know what
because
it. I want to know what it's going to do first. I don't want to. I don't want
yeah,
to go like, "Hey, can you fix this bug?" and hit enter,
that's
and
what I
it's
do.
just going to do whatever it wants.
Yeah,
I
well,
want to know what it's going to do.
I just look in my git diff on my VS Code. I just look in git diff and I see all the stuff, and and it's kind of like I do my own review. I'm like, oh yeah, this is not right, this is wrong, right? But it does front end and back end. So I would like to use planning mode to like what you're saying here, like start with the back end, tell me what you would like to do, and I can give it changes, and then it does that. And so we can, like you mentioned, have a conversation back and forth. That would be helpful instead of this back like, okay, you got this incorrect, you did that
Yeah,
incorrect.
yeah,
And so
yeah. I like to
yeah,
avoid that as much as possible. I don't want to. I want to limit the amount of time that I have to review the actual code it's written. I
yeah.
want to review it way before it writes the code. I want to know that, hey, I'm going to change this one file instead of when I hit enter and I look at my diff and there's like 4 files. I'm like, why are you editing that file? Don't do that. I don't
Hmm.
want to have to.
Yeah.
I don't want to have that time of, okay, revert the change for this file and don't touch this other file. Do that again. Like I
Yep.
just don't want to do that. I'd rather get all that junk out of the way up front. So I use
When
planning
you're
mode a lot.
yeah, when you're typing, do you, or when you're interacting, do you just type it out?
Yeah,
Just type like, okay.
yeah.
So I use Super Whisper. It's a free app.
Okay,
It's better than Apple Dictation.
I've
Did I mention that?
I've heard of Super
Okay.
Whisper. One of my other coworkers uses it.
Okay.
I have it installed. I talk
It
weird, and it's like it just doesn't
well,
pick up everything I want.
it has an autocorrect feature on it too. So when you say
Oh,
Wilbur, our company is spelled Wilber, and the natural spelling is the UR on the end. So
yeah.
it'll say UR, but you can have it convert to ER, and so you can get it to correct. Another one we've been working on is one of our internal like projects. It's called DebtNet. Like you have money debt, DebtNet. But when I say it, it always thinks I say .net. So and so that's just one other one I had it correct. But yeah, it has an autocorrect feature on there, which is kind of nice. The first time you use it is kind of weird. It takes some time to get used to. I have it assigned to my like FN, my like corner keyboard. And so I just hit that and talk immediately what I'm saying. It has this feature. I don't have this enabled, but it can also like record meetings and stuff. And so that might be useful for like just taking notes and stuff. But that requires like a subscription plan. It's all free, but if you want to do that, I think that part requires a subscription. But I use that all the time, just like talking to it. It allows me to think kind of out loud and thoroughly, and also saves time. I don't have to sit here and type all this out. But
sit in your office talking to Claude all day.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Let me ask you, what plan are you on now? Are you still on? Are you on the base plan? Where are you at with that?
They've got the team pro plan.
Oh yeah. Okay. So you're on the team
we're on the
plan.
pro plan. Yeah.
So it's like $100 a person, right?
Yes.
Something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're on the basic team plan, and we're still trying to figure it out, but we don't have Claude Code enabled on basic team plan, so I use my personal plan for that.
Oh.
I'm on the $20 plan, so I run into limits all the time. But it's for some reason recently it's been very forgiving. It's like it'll let me go pretty much all day. But I'm not hammering it all. I only make I don't know. I only talk to it probably about 10, 20 times a day. So I interact with in chats back and forth, and so I think I'd like to be more, because I am aware of the things too. Like, so I'm like, do I want to do this to Claude, or do I want to just do it myself? Right. And save my usage. Right. So I am aware of that too. And so, but yeah, I'm on the $20 plan. I need to, yeah. So do you use because I can only use the Sonnet model, the 3.7. Right? Are you on Opus, the 4 point? Is it 4.0? 4.1? How
4.1. Here's the funny part is I don't know exactly how all the billing works for the team plan and whatnot, but so I do have Opus, and the conductor app that I use has a feature where if I'm in plan mode, it uses Opus, but if I turn off plan mode and I want code, it only does Sonnet. And I don't know if the Opus limit is shared between everybody or if it's just me, but I routinely hit the Opus limit.
Oh, okay.
Because I like I said, almost everything I do starts with a plan, and so I'm talking back and forth, and that uses Opus. And so I routinely, right now, it says that my Opus will reset on the 22nd.
The 22nd? Like you were timed out for the week?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. I can
only use Sonnet now.
Oh, okay. So you can only use Sonnet. That's wild, because that's what started all of our. So our original plan was like anyone who wants Claude Code, you can get it, right? And the company wants to support it. So Boss Jake went out and got like everyone on just the base plan, which we found out does like the base plan on Teams does not have Claude Code. You have to upgrade everyone to the pro plan, which you have to have a 5-person minimum. And it's $100 a license. So we're like, well, does it make sense? I mean, they're fine to do it, but it's like, will everyone use this? And we have people that don't use Claude Code, and so it's like we're just trying to benefit the people who actually use it. And so this came out of place for me just asking, look, I hit this limit often. Like, we maybe it's just like I don't mind doing it, but I want the company to manage my account, right? I don't want I don't want the company to manage my personal account. That's kind of weird, because then we have to deal with reimbursements or who's going to pay for what, right? It doesn't make sense. So we got the team plan, and they're like, this is great, we'll upgrade. And then I got looking at like the team plan, the $100 personal plan and the team plan, you get like two times the usage on the personal plan versus being on the team plan for the same amount. Does that make sense? Like they have a $100 personal plan, $100 team plan, but you get way more usage out of the personal plan. And then the $200 difference, the $200 plan, that one compared to the max team plan you can do, which is $100, is insane. It's like 4 times the difference, right? So it's like, do we just deal with the personal benefit? Like we all have personal accounts and the company just does it that way? Because it's the billing on Claude is so confusing right now. And so
100%.
Yeah, it's weird, but we'll figure it out. We'll get there. But But yeah, man, I'm also a huge fan of Claude Code. I would love to get over on Opus. Now, you kind of have me thinking about if when I make that upgrade, I might do my planning in Opus, but then my coding in Sonnet. That's kind of an interesting idea. That sounds like the good thing for planning mode. So, yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely give Conductor a shot because I've learned a lot of things about
Okay.
how I think I should do AI development using Conductor, the conductor.build.
There's your
Like I said,
there's your technical talk, by the way.
use Conductor.
So it's just like how to efficiently use AI with Laravel. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Um,
because
yeah.
it kind of feels like the Wild West sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, am I doing this right? I don't know. It works for me. It works for the team that I'm in right now, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that works for your team, but it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely, I find so much value in it and saving a lot of time with it. And, well, there is a, term like vibe coding, and, and it's easy to get there if you're not keeping the human in the loop. And that's what it's important now. Like, I'm constantly watching the feed, like what it's doing, what is like,
Yep.
whoa, hold up, don't be doing that,
You got it.
So,
You got it.
yeah, and so when you have really good opinions, it's just like it'll roll with just making it work or making something really ugly or just going a different way you didn't expect. So just keeping that human in the loop is really good. But
Yeah,
yeah,
just don't trust it 100% because it does make a lot of mistakes. I found quite a lot of like, well, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Like type hallucination mistakes. And if I could tell you a quick little story
okay,
about this, you remember Dino, right? Our buddy Dino.
love Dino. Yep.
He uses Claude Code. He's got a legacy app that's now don't hate on him, right? It's not him. He's got a legacy app. I think it's Laravel 8.
Oh, that's unacceptable. No.
Yeah, I was like, Dino, come on, man.
No,
He's
no,
like,
no,
hey,
yeah.
he's like, I'm freelancing for him. It's not my hands are tied. Anyway, he's like, I'm going to use Claude Code to plan out, this migration from Laravel 8 to 12. He's like, there are some breaking things that I don't think Shift is going to catch. He's like, I do want to leverage Shift as much as possible. He's like, I want to use Claude to essentially upgrade the code base to be ready for Shift and then have Shift sort of run him through, 8 to 12. And so he was planning this big thing in Claude Code, and Claude Code was like, oh yeah, I could do this, I could do that for you. It's going to be super easy. He'd had this whole big planning document, and he got to the point where he was like, I'm ready to run the plan. Let's do this. And Claude Code was like, well, wait on a minute. I can't do any of this. And he was like, you literally just told me that you had these functions available for you. And Claude's like, well, I lied. He showed me screenshots of the conversation he had with Claude. And Claude was like, I made a mistake. I told you stuff that I can't do. And so like he had to it took him like a week to plan this document. He's like, it's completely jacked now because Claude just thought that it could do things for itself. And like, there's a couple other weird things. Like it didn't know that it didn't know it was in a web interface versus Claude Code, like in a command line. So it'd be running things and be like, all right, cool. I created, this instruction document in the documents folder. And Dino's like,
Where's the
what?
document?
Where?
Yeah.
Where's this document? Oh, it's in the docs folder. He's like, can I get it? And it's like, yeah, sure. It's in the docs folder. And he's like, what are you talking about? Right. So like, just forewarning, this Claude stuff's great, but sometimes it could really shoot you in the foot.
I've been
really
yeah,
shoot you in the foot.
I love that story.
You have to be careful, and you do have to read what it is doing. Because if you do like I get it, like Claude Code, you say, oh, do this, and you might go make a cup of tea or use the bathroom, do some laundry or whatever, and then come back. Like that's fine as long as you read what it's doing and you like actually read what it's supposed to be doing. Great. But just like don't take its word for it because it completely screwed up Dino. Like he was very frustrated when I talked to him last about it. He's like, I had the perfect. He even got like budget approval, right, for this freelance company to do this plan and pay for his Claude Code. And he's like, Claude just completely jacked me up on this. So I was like, yikes.
That's a lot of planning though. Yeah,
Be careful.
it's a ton of planning, and then just be
Yeah.
like, go, and it's like, yeah.
It's like, well, actually, hang on a minute. I can't do any of this.
It's all
What?
theoretical. Yeah, it does hallucinate with Laravel. Sometimes like tries to do things that don't even exist, or
Yeah,
try to
like,
do things that were deprecated in version 5, or something. But
don't
um,
do that.
have you been reading on Reddit? I don't know how much you are in the Claude Code subreddit. Just which people on Reddit they are 90% of them are going to complain versus somebody like, hey, you guys should try this. This is great.
Yeah,
Whatever. It's
yeah.
just classic Reddit. But there's been a lot of people complaining about how poor Claude Code has been lately.
Lately?
Just the past 2 weeks, yeah. I
Huh.
haven't personally experienced it on just a handful of times, but then one of my coworkers, Wilbur Power, he's mentioned he's had a couple run-ins with it being just random like hallucinations, like really bad, and kind of what you're describing. Um,
Oh, yeah.
Usually, I
Um,
just when it gets to start to get there, I'm like, well, hold on, well, let's just rethink this.
yeah.
So
Calm down. Yeah,
yeah,
I've only had one instance where it did whatever it wanted to do, and I was like, "What are you doing?" I had to clear the whole context. I was like, "Just let's start over." I don't in conductor. I just archived that whole workspace. I was like, "That's you're just like doing stuff now. Well, I don't know what you're doing and why you're doing it.
yeah.
That's not even what I asked you to do. Don't do that." But my boss Jeff, posted an article today that Anthropic. See if I can find it real quick. Anthropic has a post-mortem of some recent issues that
That's
they
probably
ran
it.
into from August through September. So that actually
That'd
might
be
line
it.
up with some
Yeah,
issues
what I've
that
been
people were having.
reading. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They'll figure it out. But I'll see like people like I unsubscribed and they'll post a screenshot. I'm like, yeah, like
All right. I mean,
okay, that you won't be missed. I'm sure it's fine. You don't have to.
yeah.
You don't have to announce your departure here. So yeah,
I mean, it's AI.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
you
We're
can't be perfect 100%
yeah
of the time.
we're in
Impossible.
we're in a weird space in our development careers of like this is all fresh and new to us. People have to be a little more forgiving than what they are. So
Mhm.
did you see the whole NPM thing, the NPM hack or the
Yeah.
isn't that
The
wild?
big poison.
It made me think of it. So npm they had this wild vulnerability on several packages where on you would do like npm update and then they would run a post install script and inside there would run Claude Code, and inside that script the Claude Code prompt would be like search for Bitcoin wallets and various like password stuff and report back to this address like make this come back to here, and then it would find your GitHub credentials, and then the most recent one just wild the vulnerability of that it would find your GitHub credentials and see if you have any published npm packages to it's like a worm, and then go do it over there, go update this script this script and go update your npm packages, and so several packages got updated. Yeah, it was a wild vulnerability, but end up just producing one of the first one just a few cents, like in the the Bitcoin wallet that I was reporting to drop it into. So it wasn't very effective, but just a wild like that we're already seeing supply chain attacks with AI, and so yeah, wild stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
just so don't install. The moral of the story is don't install Claude Code. hand
don't
type
run
everything with a typewriter.
never
and
run
debug
npm
your own.
update or composer update ever.
Yeah, ever. Write your own composer files. Actually,
Don't use the package manager. Yeah.
yeah, I saw that, and it was I didn't see all the details, but I saw that it was essentially just poisoning. It was daisy chaining packages, and it was. I can't remember what the number was. It was like thousands of packages got updated or something like that. It was like, everybody don't run anything on npm like the next several days is what I saw, and I was like, got it.
Yep.
Not gonna. Crazy.
I want to switch gears here and talk about something I've been dealing with. Unless you had anything on Claude or AI. Do you have anything else?
I think that was all I have. I assume at the next time we convene in a month, we're gonna have completely different stuff for Claude Code,
it
because that's
changes.
just how fast it
Codex,
changes.
ChatGPT Codex 5 just came out, and everyone's on that train now. I've been reading on Twitter. I'm like, well, do I spend $20 and try this out? So I look for the Chat GPT Pro thing. So I don't know. Yeah, it
we'll
changes
see.
month to month, but I have faith in Claude, so I'm just gonna keep riding that train for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, let's change gears away from AI. Let's get some like actual Laravel stuff.
Yeah. So
What you got?
switching gears. Yeah, with at work we've been upgrading all of our apps to Laravel 12, and we've been trying to figure out the best way to assign our policies. So I'll just throw this example for you. User controller. You have a user controller, and then you have a user policy, and inside the policy has different rules on like which users you can see, which ones you can create, which ones you can update, and then destroy. The whole policy thing, right? Before we would use in the constructor of the user controller, it would be like this authorizes resource, and you would pass it the policy, and then it just kind of feeds through each one of those methods you have in your controller, like a resource controller, right? Or inside each method we would have something like this authorize can, or this authorize update, and then pass it like the user model or something, and to determining if the user can update or not. So Laravel 12, they I don't know if deprecated would be the right term, but you can't do that anymore. Like if you leave it at, when you upgrade, it'll say you'll get the undefined method of authorize on null or something like that, right? When you upgrade. So the options are in your base controller, you can use a trait. So if your controller extends the base controller inside the class that you that trait you do authorizes request, basically. Or just put it in your user controller. You use the trait authorize request, and then it works. It's like the Laravel, but it's not in the documentation anywhere. It's like something you would use in the version 5 days. I think it may have been documented there, but it's not documented at all. And if you look in the documentation, it's all using the gate pattern, which is like gate : authorize, and using that way.
Or something like
right. That's all the documentation says.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's frustrating because in our controllers are just they're doing more, like they have more code. We're introducing on a Laravel update, we have to introduce more code just for authorization requests. The reason why is in our constructor we did this authorized resource and pass it the policy. Now we have to, in each individual method, we have to individually like gate authorize blank, gate authorize this, gate authorize that on every single method. And the docs say that to do that, they say the alternatives are to do it in routes. Like you could do a middleware routes, you could do it that way. You could do it that way, or use form requests. Now, if you do a form request class, that's really clean, right? But if you don't have, like, if you have an index, you might not even have like values you want to validate, right? So it just like, you're just getting all users. Like you might create a search later or whatever, right? But it's saying to basically to write a form request for everything. But that's the cleanest way to write it. But then you're going to have all these classes that aren't really doing anything except for authorizing that they can do it. So that being said, I don't know if you've run into this or how you would like your thoughts on hearing this, but we've been trying to figure out the best way to approach it. Because I just personally I really try to eliminate anything that is relating to the framework in my code. It would be, but you have to tell it somewhere, like this user is only authorized to view this at this point. Filament solves this they just do it automatically. Filament just says, oh, you have a user resource. Oh, we're just gonna I see you have a policy here. We're just gonna apply it. Like, if you don't want to apply it, let us know. But we're just gonna apply it anyway. And I wish Laravel did that. Like anytime it's kind of hard for Laravel to know what's an index, where Filament is more predictable because you're listing a table, right? So, but I don't know the solution here. It's like we have to just be more explicit in those gate policies. But I'm talking too much. But I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, here's the thing: is I use Filament a lot, like almost exclusively Filament, and so I love the way that Filament does it with all of their like They have all the like you're saying, all the hot automatic things. So I just create policies, and it just works.
It just
right?
works.
It's awesome. But when I do have to write them, I think I've only had to write like 2 or 3 recently. I always go for middleware. I'll put all the routes behind a middleware, and I'll just have the middleware do it.
Do you write the middleware? Do you
I think that's cleaner than trying to write it in every single action of a, of a like a custom page in Filament or whatever. Like, this user is authorized to do this action. This user is authorized to do that action. I'll put it in the middleware. Like, I think I've got 2 middlewares on a current app that I have that does exactly that.
Just a custom middleware class?
Yeah.
And then do you call that in the route?
Yeah, I wrap the route in route : middleware.
Yeah.
Whatever that middleware class is. And then I'll group all the routes in that middleware class.
I'm weird about middlewares. It's like sometimes I want it in the controller, sometimes I want it in the route, So, yeah.
If it's something that's like super specific, I'd probably put it in where it is, right? But if it's just like, can user view this resource? I think that's perfect for a middleware, right? Because then at that point, the request gets stopped before it even hits whatever that controller route is, or whatever.
Yeah,
that's tricky.
I kind of go back and forth because the test should tell the authorization story, right? Like, to me, as long as it's somewhere either in the routes or the controller, and then as long as the test is like catching that, like returns 402 or 401, I guess. I don't know. Or 403. Yeah. For
403, you're right. Damn.
Yeah, I was like going down the list. We'll make it there. I'll just start going down
40X.
Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah. But if we have a test in there that it returns like, hey, I'm authenticated, but I don't have this permission. I hit this route. I should expect this, right? If you have that test, like the rest, it as long as it's, I don't feel like that logic should live in the controller. And so,
I agree.
Well, if it does, it's just you're reading this business logic, and it's like, oh, the user update. You're trying to understand what the user actually is updating. Have this boilerplate of like what the permission is needed to even get there. I don't know.
Yeah, see, and it
gets weird. It needs to live somewhere.
It gets too weird because, like, here's a good question for you. How do you use your gates? Do you have is the gate that you're using the happy path, or is it the bad path? Like, is your gate saying, hey, can this person do this? No, return. Or can this person do this? And then you have all of that logic nested in that if statement.
Oh, no.
And then the default is no. Like, how do you write it?
Yeah. Yeah. The how we usually do it is it's just like, hey, do they have this? If they don't, just early return 403.
Return. An early return. See, to me, and when I'm reading that, I'm like, okay, well then why is that here? That's why I always go for like the middleware, because like I want to follow the happy path as much as possible. And if you have like nested checks or whatever, it starts getting wacky. It's a little smell for me.
And when I see it in a form request, I'm like, oh yeah, makes sense. Like a form request validating, like, authorized, you need to be this person to create this thing, right? That makes sense. But then when it's like in the controller, it's like, okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But I kind of question, like, it could be on the route too. Some people, there's just not a definitive way of like where to put it. And Laravel is just like, Laravel says you can put it in your routes or you can put it in your controller. You decide. But the controller is like in each method. It's just, so I don't know. It's a messy story. I feel like Laravel will have a good solution one day. So
it seems like that would be a great package.
How would you solve it in the package?
I have no idea. Hang on. Let me go to Claude Code. I'm going to open a new workspace. I'm going to turn on Ultra Think. Give me like 5 minutes. Give me like 5 minutes. I'll tell you exactly how to do it.
Yeah, and I know, like, if you talk to any Laravel person, they're just be like, I think Jake even put this out on Twitter. It's like the solution here is to have a form class for everything, and that's just so much extra boilerplate. That's like for index, and there's an Artisan commit, or like you can generate one with everything that you do, but it's just. It's like, I don't know, man. Sometimes you just don't need that extra form class just for authentication, right? But maybe you do, because then it's explicit, and that's the place you put it. And then your controllers are clean. I get it, because it is a form request. It's a request. You need authorization in the request, so you could do it that way. So The code's clean, but
Technically, yeah.
you have all these extra classes that you're not your validation, your rules are just an empty array. I mean, yeah, it's all right, I guess, but I don't know, man. Yeah,
The
we'll come
perils
back. We'll circle.
of trying to write like clean code.
Yeah, I know. This is stuff I think about way too much about more than actual problems I should be thinking about. Like, oh yeah, back to the business problem. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But it
Yes.
is good conversation, right? Because somebody else is going to come in trying to understand the business problem, and they see this, and they're like, "What the heck is this?" You know. So yeah, it's fun.
Crazy.
You have anything else you want to hit on? Anything else touch?
That was all I got, my guy.
Yeah,
You got any other topics you want to hit?
I have PHP stand, but we'll save that for next show. We'll say, I'm curious, like, yeah, Nuno came out with that. Nuno came out with that package, like where it's in PHP stand. He has a what do you call it? Starter pack. I don't know. It's like a starter kit. Yeah,
Starter kit.
yeah. But it's PHP set on Macs, and he was able to like publish that, so it's just all the types hit all the type hints or all that are up there. I just like I fight it a lot with like I get something going, and I go and then PHP stand fails. But anyway, I'll talk about it next show and see what static analysis, how you handle that over at your place. But
just a little nugget to get you coming back.
By the way, anyone who's listening, thank you so much. I get messages like on LinkedIn, like, hey, I listened to the podcast on like tickets, and we talked one about project management a while back. Somebody randomly hit me up and was like listening to a show like how I have, do you remember our migration that we did from just GitHub to ClickUp, and then we talked about that. So somebody was like wrote me on LinkedIn and said that they had some great opinions and wanted it. They were developing a product, wanted my feedback, but they're like, oh, that's kind of really, really cool. But anyone out there listening to the show, thank you so much. It's always wild when people reach out like that. So feel free to reach out if you have opinions, right or wrong. We love to hear them.
Yeah, right or wrong.
No, just joking. But seriously, feel free to reach out if you have any feedback for us. And Dalton, you have anything to close us out?
That's pretty much it for today's episode. I mean, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. You should probably subscribe to our podcast, because that feels kind of icky to say, but you probably should. If you've listened this far, you might as well, right? We'll see you next time.
Catch you guys. See you.
Peace.
Midwest Artisan.